2.
Welcome to Waiting, where we talk through everything culture, church, and all things in between. Hello, everyone. I'm glad you're back here for episode, I believe, 5? Might be 6, I don't know, but here we are. And I am pumped about this episode, and it's because it's with my favorite person in the whole world. And my wife, my beautiful wife, is here. This is Eleanor.
Hello, everyone.
This was a frequently asked question if Eleanor was going to be on the podcast, and she is, and she thought I would never let her come on. But she's here, and all we're going to do today is answer questions that we had sent in on the Waiting Instagram about relationships, dating, marriage, engagement, Christian culture within dating, all the things.
I'm so excited.
Eleanor has a lot of things to say about this, and so do I. But we're really excited.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to jump too much into our story. If you want to hear how we met, started dating, all that, I actually talked about it on the last episode with Austin. So if you want to hear that part, go to that. But we're not going to get into that in this episode because it'll take too long, and we want to answer your questions. So we're going to jump right in. But first, Eleanor.
Yes.
Tell me about you. Tell me your age, where you're from.
Yeah, of course.
And what you're doing.
Yeah. So I am 23. No, yeah, I'm 23.
You're 23.
Oh man, pregnancy brain. I still think I have pregnancy brain, even though I'm not pregnant anymore. But I'm 23. I graduated from GCU last year, actually. I graduated with my degree in elementary and special education. So I actually taught first grade this year here at Grace, and then when I had our perfect little angel boy crew, I decided to leave teaching and be a stay-at-home mom, and I love it. And then I was born in Oklahoma, actually. I feel like not a lot of people know that. I was born in Oklahoma. I've lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Dallas, Texas, and Tucson, Arizona. I was in Tucson the longest. Ended up coming to Phoenix when I went to GCU and met Aaron, and then I just decided to stay here. So I've been here for about almost 4 years. I think almost.
It's gotta be more than that.
No, I think, well, we've been together for almost 4 years. And so I think I've lived.
So it's probably 5.
Maybe 5. Maybe 5.
Yeah.
But then my freshman year, COVID hit. So I had to go back home.
Oh, true.
But yeah, I think
True.
around 4 or 5 years, I've lived in Phoenix. And
Sweet.
I'm living that.
Living the mom life.
Living that mom life right now. And I do seriously love it.
He's almost 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Crew.
Yep.
And I mean, look at Elle. She looks amazing.
Thank you.
Post baby. It's
Thank
awesome. But here we go. We're going to just jump right into it. I want to actually give a quick shout out. I'm here drinking in Black Rock, and we met 2 awesome people in Black Rock this morning. Their name was Hallie and Nikki.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 ASU students who we met them, and they've been coming to Unified.
Listening to the podcast. So if you guys are listening right now, shout out to you.
Hallie and Nikki. It was so good meeting you today.
Mm-hmm.
But here we go. Do we want to jump into more of a casual questions first?
Let's
what do you
start
think?
casual, and then we'll move into more intense, I think.
Okay.
Pick a good one.
Should I say names of who sent questions in?
No. That would not be a good idea, Aaron.
Yeah, good call. See, this is why she's here, because I would have said the names and exposed some people.
Let's leave that anonymous.
Okay. What were you most nervous about for our first date?
Oh my gosh. I think I was really, really bold with Aaron before our first date. Basically, I'm the one who asked him out on the first date.
Yeah, she did.
And told him to pick me up. And when I was walking up to his car, he was actually on his phone. And I was kind of upset that he was on his phone and not looking at me as I was walking up. So I hit the hood of his car to get his attention.
Yeah.
And mind you, we had never met in person.
Power move.
So I think I was just really bold. I think I was nervous that we just wouldn't click because we had talked for so long on the phone.
Yeah.
Aaron and I started talking over COVID. And so we talked for like 6 months. And then I was like, what if we talked for 6 months and we actually don't like each other in person? That would be super unfortunate.
Yep.
But that just wasn't the case.
Was not the case.
No.
Yeah, so maybe the answer to a first question is, if a girl's out there saying, should I ask him out? Why not? Why not?
There's literally no harm in it, and the guy actually loves it.
I loved it personally.
Yeah.
It was pretty sweet. Not for everyone, but yeah. Okay. Where should we go for another one like this? Oh yeah, this is a good, like, it's a real question, but it is kind of serious as well. But opinions on dating apps.
Love it. I feel like that is...
You've personally not had experience on dating apps.
Never been on a dating app, but can we argue that social media is
Instagram's
a
basically
form of a dating app? Aaron and
Yeah.
I met, well, he contacted me on Instagram.
Yeah.
I consider that a form of a dating app because
sure.
it's an app.
Met
It's
you
where you
online.
meet someone, you look
Yeah.
at their profile. It's
Exactly.
a dating app. However, side note, like we're talking like serious dating apps,
Yeah.
fully believe in them.
Yeah.
I think you have to take precaution,
Yeah, of
obviously,
course.
with
Of
anything.
course.
But my brother met his wife on a dating app. We have several friends who met on a dating app
You do?
and are now married.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
I
I'm a
think
dating
it
app
can
person.
work.
I think it can work.
Like anything, there's negatives to things, but
Yeah.
that's like everything that's good.
But
right?
Aaron and I, we say this all the time to people, to just date. Like,
Yep.
you should just date people. Go on dates,
Mhm.
take the risk. And dating apps are not always going to work. It's trial and error, but I think you should do it.
For sure. For sure. I'm going to jump to some other questions here. I'm the same, by the way, dating apps. I mean, if you're mature and you're specifically trying to look for someone who is in the same situation as you and wants to date, at least you know when you're going through those apps, you know
Yeah.
that they are looking to date. I mean, not everyone is, but
And I feel like that's where you have to like ask the right questions
Yeah.
before you go on the date.
yep, I've heard great things from them, also negative, so it's just being discerning, being wise in how you go about dating through dating apps, but I think they can work for who it needs to work for. So all right, let's jump into it. Here we go. When trying to find your person in dating, how much does physical attraction matter?
It is so important.
Yes.
I'm going to look at the camera. If you have to convince yourself that you're attracted to the person, you should not be with them.
That's right.
I think you have to be like obsessed with them. That's just my personal opinion, because you guys are gonna, if you plan on marriage, well, you should, I mean, it depends on the person, right? But I dated for marriage, and I feel like if you're dating for marriage, you want to be obsessed with that person. You want to be so attracted to them, because when you're married, you guys are going to grow old together. You're going to constantly change together. And being physically attracted to them is just so
Huge deal.
important. So 100%, you should never have to convince yourself that you're attracted to someone. If you have to, that's just honestly sad for the other person. I would be really sad if you had to convince yourself that you were attracted to me.
You ever heard people they like say this phrase and they're saying it in a way to seem really maybe spiritual or really humble and caring, when they're like, yeah, like when I started dating my wife or husband, like I wasn't attracted to them, but I just saw their heart and I wanted to stay with them. I'm like, that's kind of sucks.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad.
more, I feel like that's more of like a best friend relationship. Like,
Yeah.
you can be friends with someone and love who they are and love their heart
Yeah.
and everything. But at the end of the day, I do believe that there's someone out there for you who loves your heart and also thinks that you're the
Yes.
hottest person ever.
Yes. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think obviously it's not, when people ask this question, it's that they're trying to ask it's not everything, right? So yeah, physical attraction is not everything.
100%.
It's not
Yeah.
the most important thing, but it's extremely important, especially like, I mean, you spoke to it for the girls, but for guys, like big time. Like you want to, the person that you're marrying or dating seriously that you see potentially as your wife, you want to feel like this is my definition of beauty right here. This is my person. She is all I need. And it's not that looks holds everything for what you need. But it's a huge deal. And I remember having a conversation with a friend. This was like 2 years ago, and he was sat. It was 3 of us, and he was sitting with us, and 2 of us were married, and he was single at the time. And he said, I just don't. He said, I don't know if I believe you. He was talking to me and the other guy who was married. He said, I don't know if I believe you that when you say like you think you've married like the most beautiful girl, like I don't think you actually think that. I think there's always going to be someone that you'll think is prettier. When you look around, it's like, and we were both just extremely convinced that it was true. That when I tell people that I'm in love with and married to the most gorgeous person I've ever seen physically, I mean it. And it was funny because a year later he started dating somebody, and he said, I know what you mean now.
That's really sweet.
And he has that with his soon-to-be wife, and I think that's really awesome. And I think it's really important because for me, whenever Eleanor's in a room, and even when she's not, it's other girls is never attractive to me in that way. Yeah, anyone you can acknowledge, like there's a good-looking guy, good-looking girl, but it's nothing in comparison to you. And you should want that.
I think too, someone's personality can make them look more attractive too.
Yes, 100%.
And I think when you have that connection with someone, you can think they're also more physically attractive. I think that's why going on dates and all that stuff, there's always going to be some sort of maybe tension because you're connecting on a deeper level. And you just feel something different for that person, and it just makes them physically more attractive.
Yes. Yep.
All right, hit me with the next one.
All right, here we go. What do you think's toxic about Christian dating culture right now?
How about you start with this one?
Okay. Toxic's a tough word.
I feel like not, yeah.
There's not a lot of, like, toxicity. There's some things that are just plain weird. Like, more just, like, cringe and, like, not necessary. This is our personal opinions. Some people still don't agree with us in this realm of things, but I just think, especially in the Christian world, going on a first date is just been made way too serious.
Okay, I was going to say that.
Like, being around a Christian university, even just being around Christians outside of college, is like, I don't want to go on a date with this person because I just don't know if I, like, see myself marrying them. I'm like, of course you don't. How can you if you've never been on a date? So we're big advocates for, you're attracted to that person, yeah, why don't you try and get to know them? Go on a date, and you don't have to, like, use all this different language around, oh, we're hanging out, oh, like, da-da-da, like, just go on a date.
There's
just
too much pressure. People put way too much pressure on dating, and that is such a core of GCU culture. Like, you think that when you're dating someone, you have to immediately jump to, let's talk about our wedding. Like, are we going to get married?
Yep.
And it's just like, you don't need to do that. I think what people don't realize is that sometimes Christian culture can be such a bubble of everyone around me is getting married really young. And we kind of felt like, honestly, like, but you and I both dated around before we met each other. So we had tested the waters and some different things. But I feel like people don't realize that. And so they look at us, and I got married at 21. I have a son at 23, or I had him at 22. And I feel like people look at that and they're like, I have to be at that point. Or I'm graduating college and I haven't met my person yet. That's it for me. I don't have a chance anymore. And it's just like, we are in such a bubble that the rest of the world is not in. You go to ASU, or you go to another college or a community or whatever you're going to, or anyways, people aren't meeting their person until their 30s. That's like normal.
I love talking to one of my friends, Jody, who he cuts my hair and he's not a Christian. And I remember when he first asked me, he's like, oh, you're married? I'm like, yeah. And he said, how old are you? And when he asked me this, this wasn't long ago, I was like, hey, I'm 26, about to be 27 this year or whatever. And he was like, wow, that's like extremely young. But in the Christian culture, saying you're 26 and if you're single is like old.
Like, if you think about it, you're freshly out of your teens. Like, I was freshly out of my teens. I was 21.
Well, you're 19 when we started dating.
Yeah, I was 19 when we started dating.
Right. But
yeah.
I just think I think we as Christians sometimes need a way of bursting your Christian bubble. Is actually being around people who are not Christian. It's not living in how they date, right? It's not, you're not going to be living worldly, but it's to see, like, I think you've put this all in one box, and it in almost in a toxic way, because now you think, I'm about to graduate next semester, I've run out of time, I'm never going to meet anyone. And it's just like, it's just not true. I didn't meet her till after I graduated.
Yeah.
Right. So we started dating the year after I graduated from college, and for some people, some of my best friends are still single right now, but they're dating and they're having fun and they're trying to find their person still. And honestly, they said it got more simple to date once they were out of college.
I feel like whoever sent that question in just needs to take a deep breath. And if you're out there and you are graduating or you're concerned about where your life is headed and you haven't met your person yet, just take a deep breath. There's no pressure right now, and you should just enjoy the season you're in.
Yeah.
Just enjoy it, because we dated, we got married, we have a baby, and I love that, and I love the season we're in. But then I also have friends who are just starting dating and enjoying that life, and they're both very different, and they're both really good.
Really good. Yep. Last funny one before the next question with toxic Christian dating. This isn't even a Christian one. I just think it's just actually cringe. I really don't like the soft launch, hard launch on social media. Have you seen those?
I've never seen a soft launch,
where,
to be
like,
fair.
the college students now, they'll like post a picture of like the back of someone's head who they've been like going on dates with, and people will be commenting like soft launch. And I'm just like, oh, stop. And then you see like a real picture of the couple picture, and they're like, hard launch, it's launched, like sending like rocket ship emojis. And I'm just like, I get it, it's fun. Okay, maybe I'm just being stupid, but I think it's funny.
I think it's funny. To be fair, we have no room to talk.
Yeah.
You and I both definitely hard launched on Instagram.
Yeah, but you know when it's like, but now it's like a rhythm of dating. It's like, let me put on a picture that's like really subtle. It's like, it's giving like
what celebrities
main character,
do.
You know?
It is giving main character.
It's giving like people really, really care for me to do this. And they're just like, are you guys dating or not?
But you know what?
You know? But yeah, do what you do. If it's fun, go for it. Don't listen to me. I just think it's a bit cringe. Okay, anyway. Where should we go here? Okay, we'll go with this one. How did you know each other was the one? Let's make it quick. Let's start doing a bit more rapid fire.
Quickly. I just felt it. Aaron knew earlier than me. He was very upfront with his feelings when we were dating. He said, I love you first. He told me he wanted to marry me first. It took me a bit longer, but there was a moment we were sitting in church once, and the pastor was talking about this couple who was across the world, and they built a church together, and I really just felt like that was supposed to be us, that we were meant to do something big together. We were sitting right next to each other, and it just felt right, and I was like, all right, okay, God, like, I'm going to trust you in this, because I feel like this is where I'm headed, and I feel like Aaron is my person. I feel like I just continued to deny it, and then I was like, why am I denying it? Like, we are meant to do something together. And it's really beautiful to see our lives now, because where Unified is at, where you're at in your career, and our faith and everything, it's really special.
Yeah. Yeah, mine really quickly was, so yeah, I dated a lot in college, just casually, a couple serious ones, all that. And for me, it was all those relationships I had before you. If problems ever came up, I was just kind of, I guess the word's lazy, or I just didn't care enough.
Yeah.
Like if problems ever arose, I was just like, like whatever, like I guess it's not gonna work, and would end it. But with you, when problems came up, I didn't really ever have a moment where I was like, oh no, it's done. Every time like issues would come up in our relationship or things that we had to figure out together, I was always like, we can figure this out. Or I was like, I really want to figure this out. I never had a moment that a problem was too big. I was just like, I'm seeing something within my soul and just my mind constantly with this girl who I've only been with for a few months, that if anything arised, I would want to figure it out. And that's when in my brain I was like, I feel like God has confirmed in me that this is who I should be with, because that will result in a healthy marriage.
100%.
That if any problems arise, my mindset instantly is, we can figure this out, we'll fix this. So, I mean, it relates to another question we had in saying, how do you feel about the one thing, if there is a one? For me, I have my one. It's you, right? But I think we spoke to it on a recent episode, with Courtney, who's in this room, of like, I don't think God is so bound, and his plan for your life is so bound to you making the right decisions, right? As in, like, you making the right decision is important, but when it comes to, you're not choosing between God or sin in something. It's like, God isn't just this puppet master that was like, oh, Aaron and Eleanor are going to find each other. And it's like, I think God is so loving enough and gracious enough that he gives us choices in things. Do I think that if you never met me, then you would never get married? No, I think you would have. But I think that what God was so kind in is that our paths did cross, and we both made the decision to follow God together and love each other. And as that came, we realized each other is our one.
Yeah, I think the word decision is good, because you have to make a decision to love someone.
Yeah.
That's a decision you make. Yeah, it's a feeling too, right? But if you don't just wake up every day and decide to love that person, then you're not gonna, it's not gonna work out.
Right.
So it's a decision. And I don't know, you think about people that you know who are in love with their boyfriend or girlfriend, but then something happens, they break up. It's like, are they never gonna love anyone ever again? No, I think they will, and they do.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the whole one thing, because people have been in relationships and they're like, this is the one, and then it ends up not being. And it's like, oh no, like maybe I misheard God. And I don't think that's true. If your mind is so fixed around there is the one for me that God has, and I think you can become really lazy in dating righteously and in a way that's pleasing to God, because you'll just be like, oh, if there's a one and God has this one, it's gonna fall in my lap at some point. And it's like, no, like, what if you're out of college and it's not as easy to be meeting new people all the time? What if you need to go on a dating app? What if you need to go elsewhere to meet people? Like, you have to, like,
you can't just like sit around and expect the person to show up.
Yes, you have to try.
Yeah.
All right, let's go a different route here, and then it's like we're progressing through like dating ones, and then we've got questions on engagement, marriage, whatever. This one says, how do you know when it's time to break up? In dating, obviously.
Yeah.
If you're married, I don't think it's time. You need to figure it out. But
dating. Oh man, I just feel like this just depends on who you are. The relationship, has something happened? Are you just in a relationship and you're like, should I break up with this person? Or I feel like it totally depends on where you're at. But I will say, there were times when Aaron and I were dating where I was like, is this real? Like, is this gonna last or whatever? But that's also where Aaron and I were coming from, where we were the ones who would always just like in the relationship.
You're saying you had moments where you wanted to break up with me, is what you're saying.
That's.
Which you did. You did, right? There
were moments where Aaron intimidated me for sure. I was so intimidated by you. Aaron's 4 years older than me. You didn't like that I said that. Aaron is 4 years older than me. He is very wise. And I just felt really young, really just like I was trying to figure out my life. And there were moments where I was doubting myself and doubting if I was being crazy because I fell so fast and hard for you. And I was just like, is this just me being wild? Because honestly, like, Aaron was the second Christian guy that I'd ever like really talked to. The first one really hurt me. And Aaron, I was like, maybe I'm just like falling because he's Christian, you know? But yeah, we've thought about it. I think if you're seriously just not into the girl and you're forcing it, you should probably break up, or vice versa. If you're the girl and you're forcing it, it's probably not going to work out. I think if something big has happened and you're worried that you're not going to be able to get over it or move on,
I mean, if that fits with another question we had of if in dating your significant other has been unfaithful, cheated on you, do you think it's possible to work it out? I mean, what do you think about that? Or do you want me to speak to it first?
I think me personally, no. Like, I would not be able to stay in that relationship coming from someone who had basically been cheated on. I feel like it is so hurtful, but it depends on the relationship and it depends on who you are. But if you're going to hold a grudge against someone for the rest of their life and use that against them, if you're not going to be able to forgive them and move on, not forget, right? Aaron just spoke on this at Unified. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. But when you're in a relationship, you kind of have to push it aside a bit, because if you keep holding that against the person, there's going to be a lot of damage.
Yeah, if you're going the route of trying to reconcile, mend, which, again, personally, I wouldn't go that route. But if you are, I think anything's possible with God. But I think if the route of trying to reconcile that relationship is just having that person feel like they're trying to climb their way back to you, instead of, hey, I forgive you, let's try and figure this out together and let me help you, then I think it could. But if your relationship then is just revolved around the person who made that mistake is just trying to climb the ladder back to your love, it's never going to work. But I mean, it's going to be a long process. It's not just the forgive, move on. It's the whole thing of trust is earned in drips and lost in buckets, right? You're gonna have to try and earn that trust back, and it's gonna take a really long time.
And that's us talking dating. Marriage, someone cheats on you during marriage, that's another conversation, I think, because I married Aaron till death, no matter what, and I feel like that's where counseling comes in, and a lot of hard work and a lot of trust, rebuilding trust. But divorce is a word that Aaron and I refuse to say in our household. It's just not a word that we use. Because it's just not going to happen.
And then along that route too, somebody asked, how do I go about continuing to date someone who's not a follower of Christ, not a Christian? I'll speak to this first. I mean, there's a small number of people that I've seen this work. But, I mean, I think of my grandparents really often with this is, like, so they both were saved later in their life, as in, like, they'd already been together for a few years. My Nana got saved before my granddad did, and for then, like, 3 or 4 years, she was just going to church alone, and he was at home, all this. But it got to a point where, yes, she loved this man so much, but she basically gave him this thing of like, hey, if you don't at least try and come to church with me, I think we have to be done. And eventually, through some time, he was saved, and they're still together, and they have the most beautiful relationship. But I think that is just a really small amount, and they already had a child together who was my mom. They'd been together for a long time, so they had reasons that they were like, we need to figure this out. And through that, they were both reconciled to Christ and were saved. But within just dating and starting out to date someone, I think if you're on a first date with someone and they're not a believer, I think it's okay to just cut it right there. I don't think it's worth it. It's not, you shouldn't do missionary dating of trying to get people to convert, you know.
I've seen it before of someone who believes that they can change someone.
Right.
And I think as Christians, we can sometimes think that it's really bad if we break up with someone because they're not Christian. But at the end of the day, your significant other is your teammate.
Yeah.
And if you guys aren't teammates in the same faith, it's just going to be really difficult. And that person's not going to be building you up. And you're just going to be struggling to get them to believe. And it's not an equation that necessarily has an answer, I think. I think that you need someone who is going to encourage you and continue to push you in your faith. Yeah, I think that's right.
And this is coming from someone who I once briefly went on a few dates with someone who wasn't a Christian a long time ago. And it's like a false assumption in your head that as a Christian, you think that you will be okay and you can be strong enough and you can carry the load. But when you're around someone a lot who is not in the same faith system as you and way of life as you, yours starts to become less strong naturally.
Yeah.
And it's not because you are not, your faith wasn't strong enough. It doesn't matter how strong your faith is. If your significant other is not in the same realm, you will be dragged down.
Yeah.
You will. And so, within dating, if you're starting out to date someone who's not a believer, I would hesitate to that. If you're already dating someone, you've been dating for a while and they're not a believer, I would start to rethink, have some real conversations with this person, help them understand, and go from there.
Yeah. Okay, Aaron, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I think that this might have been one of the questions asked, but what are your views on leading a relationship? Who leads it?
Within dating?
Yeah. Leading.
Not marriage?
Both.
Okay.
Start with dating.
Within dating, one of the best things someone ever said to me was, Aaron, you're nowhere in the Bible does it say for you to lead anyone spiritually who isn't your wife.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of pressure put on that even within dating, that the man is meant to lead this and to lead this person spiritually. Yeah, you're meant to like show that this is the way you're living and the way that you live, your significant other should be running that race with you. But it is not on you as a boyfriend to make sure that your girlfriend is following Christ. That's not up to you.
Yeah.
As a husband, my role in our house is to make sure that our house is spiritually warm and that prayer is lifted up in our house, and to check in on how you're doing with God and in your walk. That's my role. But that's not my role as a boyfriend. That's not your role either. Does that mean that you shouldn't do Christian things? No, obviously. Does that mean you should never encourage your girlfriend spiritually? No. But to lead her in that way, you'll naturally do that by how you are. But there's so much pressure on that. And I've heard people like who are dating break up because the girl felt like she wasn't being led by him. I'm like, that's your issue.
Yeah.
Like he can continue if he's not. I feel like what they're meaning by that is they're not seeing a consistent sanctification, becoming more like Christ in that person. I don't think they really mean this person isn't leading me that much. So I don't know. It seems like you wanted to put a lot of blame on him when really you're just like, I don't really like him that much.
I think at the end of the day, girls just crave a guy who loves God and who seeks after God. Like that's what a girl wants.
Yeah.
If you're a Christian girl. But like she just craves that, and so that's where I feel like girls come from, where they're like, oh, he's not leading me. And I think as long as you both are seeking him and working on your relationship with God, that's what's most important. When you're married, yes, does Aaron lead our household? 100%. I would say you lead our household really well. And I feel like Aaron is constantly pushing me to read my Bible and be in prayer and to take time with the Lord, and gives me reminders all the time. And I feel like my role can be a little different because I'm married to a pastor who is in his Bible basically every single day and is doing that. Mine is more of an encouragement role. And so that just depends on who you are as well.
Right. And people have asked questions along these lines of how do you feel about doing Bible studies together as a dating couple. This isn't, what I was saying isn't me saying that you shouldn't, do Christian things with each other. Like, when we were dating, we were reading through a book together that was some of our most, like, fondest, great memories as a dating couple. We'd go to a park and we'd, like, be sitting with each other, but separately we'd, like, read a chapter and we'd be like, what do you think about it? And it was cool. And but I wasn't instigating that out of I need to make sure Eleanor is following Christ. It was, no, that we both just enjoy talking about these things.
I think we should say, too, that book that we read was called Wild at Heart.
Yeah.
And that was actually a gift to me for Christmas from Aaron's mom. Mind you, we started dating. We started dating in September. She gave this to me in December.
Yeah.
And when she gave that to me, she was like, also shout out to Mel. Love her. Best mother-in-law. But she gave that to me and she was like, I read this when I was pregnant with Aaron. And that's when she gave it to me. And I was like, okay, I think Aaron's parents like me. This is kind of a big deal. And so she gave me that book and Aaron's like, oh, we should read this together. And that was like such a special moment in our relationship. We were able to talk about so many things. So yeah, do your Bible study, read a book together, do your thing. But again, people just put too much pressure on the other person.
Yeah. Is the person that you're dating showing clear signs that they are following the Lord and have Him first in their life? Yes. Sweet.
Yeah.
Keep getting to know each other. But girls, stop putting this pressure on your boyfriend that you've been dating for a month isn't leading you spiritually. You need to know how to lead yourself as well.
100%.
And then when you're married is when you can really step into that. I mean, and then that kind of goes into like, if your significant other that you're dating maybe is struggling with sin or anything like that, when is it time to break up in terms of that kind of thing? I just think, how do I word this in a respectful way? Respectfully, you can get through anything with anyone if they're following Christ. It's your choice if you want to.
100%.
And it's your choice if you... And if you don't want to, that's okay. This isn't me being like, if you choose not to, then you suck and you didn't try hard enough. It's like, no, if you just don't want to, you don't want to. Don't drag that person along. If they're struggling with sin and they're open with you about what they are struggling with, it's up to you if you want to work through it with them, support them in that. But if you're also being pretty broken by what they're struggling with and you don't want to deal with it, then you don't want to. So it's up to you.
Personal decision.
Personal decision. Let's go.
Should we move on to engagement?
I got a couple more here that I think some simple ones that these should be rapid fire. How long should you date before getting married? I think it's completely relative to what works.
There's no timeline.
There's no timeline. Whatever you think, however the God's leading, however you think you're confident in. In marriage, do you ever feel like there's still time to do your own thing? 100%. And we actually make time in our marriage to make sure that we have our separate things.
Still make time to do that with a baby.
I play basketball multiple times a week, go to the gym. You make sure that you have time to go to the gym.
Aaron gets home from work, takes crew for like an hour, and I leave. I went to go get my nails done yesterday.
Yep. How many dates is too many if you're searching for feelings with that person? Meaning, if you want to like this person that you're going on dates with, how many should you give it to find out if you like them? I think if you're searching, you're probably not that down.
Can I be bold and just say, if you're not feeling it on the first date,
yes.
Why? Like, I just feel like you're gonna have that connection.
And by feeling it, you're not meaning, I know I want to marry this person after the first date.
No. If you are trying to decide if you like the person, it should not take that many dates.
If you're debating whether you want to see them again, you don't want to.
You shouldn't have to convince yourself.
Yeah, you should.
You just don't like them.
And that's okay.
All right, next one.
Next one. Okay, yeah, we can go into someone said who was recently engaged. We can shout her out. This is exciting.
Yeah, go ahead.
Alex Temple and Chris recently engaged, and Alex sent in engagement tips.
Oh my gosh. Take a deep breath. You guys are teammates.
Yeah.
Because I feel like engagement season is such a roller coaster.
That was the hardest season of our relationship.
Yeah, I just think that I think planning a wedding is extremely hard. Mm-hmm. You're hopefully going through premarital counseling. 100%.
Yep, that's a tip. I recommend that.
You have to 100%. Go through premarital counseling. The amount of stuff we talked through in that was really, really important. It's just a roller coaster. I feel like it depends on how long your engagement is too. I think you are also going through a season of sexual tension 100%. Where you know you're getting married, but you're not married yet. And it's just like this awkward area. Yeah, just remember you guys are on the same team.
Yep.
And that goes into marriage too. You guys are not one team and another team and you're trying to work together. You're one team against the world, against everyone, it's just that person is your family now. I think we say that a lot of leave and cleave.
Yes.
And when you get married, even when you get engaged, you're starting to feel this area where you're starting to leave your family, you're starting to stop relying on your family so much, and you're leaning on your significant other way more. And you need to cleave to that person more than your family, which is hard.
Yes. That's one of the unfortunate pieces of advice that people give sometimes when you're going to get married or if you're thinking about getting married, is you're not just marrying the person, you're marrying the family. That's not true. It's not true.
Yeah.
I was not marrying your family. You were not marrying mine. You were marrying me.
We were blessed because we loved each other's families.
And that's not biblical. Yes, we love our family.
Yeah.
Yes, we care about them. Yes, we put importance into having a relationship with them. But my life isn't revolved around making sure that Eleanor's family has full approval of everything that we do.
Yeah.
Which most of the time they do. Which all the time they do. Same with my family. But it says to leave and cleave. Leave your family and cling to your wife. And you're now creating another family. So I think that releases a lot of pressure of, yes, like the person you want to marry, if like it's hard if their family is not something that you feel a part of, or that it's a broken family or fill in the blank. But you're not marrying them. You're marrying that person. But if you start to revolve everything around your marriage of that it's her and the family, or maybe you're not leaving your family when you get married. Like I've seen this in marriages where the girl has got married, but is still very much clinged to her mom or her dad, and still seeks to do everything through them and not through her husband or not through his wife, and it does not go well. You have to cling to each other and love your family. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I've said 100% like 100% of the time.
You do like saying that phrase.
I do.
How much time are we in, Courtney?
10:52, right?
What time did we start?
Like,
yeah, I'll say pretty good. Keep going for a little bit. Is there any questions that you remember off the top of your head that we've talked about that you want to do?
No.
Wow. Thanks for the help.
I feel like I brought up.
Thanks for the help.
Also, just real quick, hold on.
Yeah,
on the engagement thing, I don't want to be too sad about it. I think you should enjoy every single season you're in.
Yes.
You should enjoy singleness, dating, engagement, and marriage, and being parents or whatever season you're in. Just enjoy it and like have a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And soak it up. I wish you and I soaked it up more. I feel like
engaged.
I feel like we were really tense during engagement season.
We were.
And I just feel like you should really just enjoy it.
Yeah. But what I'm thankful for is the wedding week. We weren't.
Yeah.
And like the week and the wedding day, don't be a bridezilla, or even the reverse roles of the guy being that. Like Eleanor was not of like, I don't know if like.
I didn't do a thing.
Oh gosh, our wedding was just so stress free because we were just like going with the flow, and we are just like whatever like happens.
If family home videos could be a wedding, I feel like that was our wedding.
And I think it's just enjoying each other.
Yeah.
I think you can get really distracted and stressed with all the people and family that have come in to celebrate you, and forget about each other and just enjoy each other. And as a result, you'll enjoy
Also, on your wedding
else.
day, you're not going to be thinking about anything else but your person and the fact that you're married. Like all those little details, which are so fun to plan, like have so much fun planning those, they don't matter on the wedding day at all. You're just not, you're not going to care.
No. It's the people and your spouse.
Yeah.
You enjoy the people.
Yeah.
And take adjustments as they come, and it's not too bad.
All right.
Okay, I like this one. I think maybe we're just going to do a part 2 of this. I think we should just record another episode together.
Okay.
You down?
Yeah. Yes. Look at how excited he is. I love it. This is this is mom break, cruise with a babysitter right now.
This might be one of the best questions we've had in regards of dating.
Okay.
What boundaries should you hold with friends of the opposite sex? Friends. So I don't know if they're asking if it's when you're dating someone or when you're single, but I think we can answer both of that.
Yeah.
By the way, please hear these are our personal opinions. Okay?
This whole podcast is our personal opinions.
But our personal opinions are right. I'm just kidding.
I just feel like this one is going to be hard to hear for some people.
I think it's really weird in Christian culture when girls and guys are just besties. I think it's so...
But let's define that. It's okay to have a best friend.
Yes.
If you guys are hugging each other like you're dating or snuggling...
Oh, yeah. No, I'm
crossing a line.
Yeah, I'm out.
Even if you have a little sparkle for them.
Oh, don't bring that word up.
Aaron
I hate this.
Literally shiver. It makes us shiver. When did sparkle become a thing? Because it is so cringy.
Yeah, if you don't know what it is, just find out. I don't even want to talk about what it means.
It just means you have a crush on someone.
Yeah, just say you like them or you're interested.
Anyways. If you are snuggling with your best friend...
Oh, stop it. That's not your best friend.
Already.
You like them.
You have a crush.
Yes.
And if you're best friends and you're snuggling with your best friend and you're trying to date a different girl... You're not going to get her. You're not going to get her.
Okay, here's this. Your boundaries is, if I start dating someone who is not this girl or this guy, is a lot of things going to have to change in this friendship, then you've probably crossed the line.
Yeah.
Right? So say if I'm this way with a girl that's simply my friend, I start dating someone, and then because I've started dating someone, I have to stop most of the things I do with this girl in a friendship, then your friendship had crossed the line. Does that make sense?
Guys, I'm talking to the guys now.
You do it.
If you have a ton of friends that are girls and you hug them like the girl that you like, if you text them like the girl that you like, stop it right now. It is so cringy and so weird. You are doing the most, and you're never going to get a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
If you are wondering why you don't have a girlfriend and you're hugging girls like that...
It's probably because they don't even know you like them because you're like that with every girl.
Yeah.
I'm a big okay, yes, absolutely, you can be friends with people of the opposite sex.
Oh,
of course.
Yep.
I'm not against that. I don't think it's bad. I think it's good, right? I always had friends in college, not so much in high school, more in college, that were girls. But I feel like one thing I did do a good job of in college, I didn't date perfectly. Okay, I'm not saying my route just went the smoothest.
Just listen to the podcast with Austin Rockwell. You'll learn a lot about Aaron.
But what I do think I did in a good way that was clearly obvious to everyone who knew me was everyone knew if I liked a girl.
Yeah.
And it's because I was a certain way with that person that I'm not like with my friends who are girls. But if you're like that with everyone, it's just weird. I just feel like you're like, oh, I'm just like playing around, just being flirty, like whatever. Like, I don't know. I feel like the girl that you actually want to end up marrying won't want to, because she doesn't want to just feel like one of your other, like, your girls that you're with all the time.
Yeah. It's just... Also, I will say this. When Aaron and I started dating, I kind of dropped all my guy friends. Because Aaron was my best friend and the only guy friend I needed. Like, yeah. I had a lot of really close guy friends before we started dating. And just sort of, like, didn't hang out with them anymore.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
That's okay. Can you still hang out with your friends of the opposite sex once you start dating? Yes, but not alone.
Not alone.
I think that's another boundary. If you like are trying to convince your significant other to let you hang out one-on-one with another girl or another guy who is not them, it's not okay.
Yeah.
And they're right to be okay with wanting you not to do that.
Yeah. 100%.
Sick. I think we'll do one more.
Let's do one more.
Let's do one more. Do you have any topics?
You keep asking me. We have like the longest list of questions. I do not have a question. I can't think on the top of my head to save my life.
Okay. I think we could go there with a lot of these in another episode. Talk more about just like sexual and physical boundaries and all that, and then within marriage what that looks like too. This one's funny. Someone put, "I'm scared of women." I know this is, so it's funny. Like, I know.
Don't be there scared of you too. And if you are, go tell her she's beautiful.
I'm worried that this girl isn't interested in me, but I want to get to know her. Should I still ask her on a date? Yeah,
yes.
Go for it. Whatever. If she says no, what's changed about your life? Nothing.
Nothing.
Go for it.
Nothing. People are too scared.
Yep.
Also, the little, like, I just feel like when you start dating someone and those nerves and everything, I just feel like those are so fun.
Yeah. It's fun to, like, just ask them out. And then if they say yes, you're like, oh, what?
I still get giddy with Aaron today. I was getting ready and Aaron goes, "Guess what?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "After the podcast, my mom's going to watch Crew and we're going to go out to lunch." And I was like, "What? This is so exciting." And I got just, like, really giddy and excited again.
Yeah.
Still, when you're married, still ask them out on dates.
Flirt with them.
Yep, still flirt.
Have a good time.
But if you are debating on whether or not you want to ask her out, just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Or ask him out. Maybe you're a girl and you're like, just be honest. Just be honest.
Boldness is attractive.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the last one I'll speak to here, and then we'll get to all the rest in the next episode.
Yeah.
It's back to the one thing, because does God tell you if you have found the one? I feel like it just gets confirmed, and if you're in right relationship with Christ and in consistent prayer and like knowing Him and His character, and in doing that in the ways you're dating this person, then it will be revealed in a way through your confidence in that person. For me, I never had a moment where it was like God was like, "This is your wife." It was, I had confidence in that with His help, I could be with you for the rest of my life, and I want to be with you. So that's it. I think it's always down to, I don't know, I would rather hear from my future spouse that through right relationship with God and prayer, that they've decided that they've made the choice to love you for the rest of their life, is actually more encouraging and more strengthening than saying, "God told me I'm marrying you," but your actions aren't showing that much.
Yeah,
you know
and also, did God tell you that, or are you just like saying that?
Or are you just trying to spiritually, emotionally manipulate them to marry you? You know. Anyways, yeah, that's that. Eleanor, I know you said I'm wise, but you're really wise, and you're so funny.
This is so fun.
And I
love
having you on this. That's why we're gonna do another episode.
I love a good podcast.
Love it. Okay, no, here's the last thing, and then I'll close it out. But a friend of ours sent this one in, and I just liked it, and I want to do it. What are your top 3 favorite things about me? And then I'll do it for you, obviously. Huge words of mouth guy. Okay, back
huge.
when Eleanor was saying in the podcast at the beginning that she thought about breaking up with me because I was intimidating, she said it all in a really nice way, but basically at the beginning of our relationship, she was going to break up with me because I was giving her too many words of aff.
And I said that to him. I said,
she said, you need to cool down.
If you don't calm down with the words of aff, I'm going to break up with you.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just the guy who's telling you how beautiful you are.
When I tell you, like, I think I shock people with how bold and blunt I can be. Like, I'm just going to tell you straight up what I think.
Yeah. I did like what I thought was really cute this one time, where I texted her in the morning when I hadn't even seen you yet. This is when we were dating. Texted you and like, good morning, you look beautiful today. And her response was, you haven't seen me. Okay.
I said,
what?
I said, you're ruining the word beautiful for me. It has no meaning anymore.
Yes, I remember you said that. I was like, oh my.
Because you know what? He didn't just do it that one time. You did it like 3 times.
But it was true. I knew you looked beautiful.
And the word beautiful for me had no meaning anymore.
Oh my gosh. And so I started to cool it down. I decided to not think this girl is just like the worst and hates me. I decided, okay, I'm going to do what works for her. And so I cooled it down. Started to not give her as much words of aff, and then what happened? You started to ask for it.
You know what, Aaron? I think the reason that you fell in love with me so fast is because you just needed a girl to challenge you a bit.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna be bold and say that. I think you are very attractive.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, one of the qualities. That's one of my ones. You're very attractive. A girl loves a guy on stage, right? There's just something attractive about someone being on stage. Girls love a worship leader. Girls love a pastor. I just feel like that's a thing. And I feel like these girls were just like intimidated by you, to be honest. And I feel like
what are you trying to get at here?
I feel like I challenged you and pushed you. And you were like, I was like kind of hard to get.
There's difference between being hard to get and just straight up being like, Aaron, like, you're just being a lot.
Okay, moving on. I'm going to give my 3.
Yeah.
What is it? 3 things that I love the most about you?
Yeah. I'm
super attracted to Aaron. I just think you are the best looking man I've ever seen in my life.
Which I wasn't your type.
Okay, you're just branching off into a whole thing.
I think it's hilarious though. One of the first things you ever told me was, like you're not my type. And
yeah,
like,
it's because I grew up where learning tattoos were like the biggest sin ever.
Which is true.
And pastors don't make a lot of money.
Which is true.
And I always hated facial hair. And I always said I wouldn't date someone 4 years older than me.
Which you ended up with someone with all those things.
Yeah. And I'm obsessed.
Yes. Okay.
So,
2 more.
Anyways, I love your heart. And I feel like that's so basic. But what I mean by that is Aaron is, I feel like not a lot of people know this, but you're a very emotional person. And I love that. I just feel like you care so much and you just have the best heart. And you just really are intentional. And I love that. And that all branches under heart for me. And I also just love your boldness. I think I'm a bold person, but I also think you're very bold. And I think you are not afraid to go talk to someone. You're not afraid to stand up for your faith. And I think that a lot of people can find that difficult. And I just feel like you encourage me really well in that. And I just feel like that all goes under boldness as well. So I think you're very good looking. I love your heart, and I just love your boldness for the Lord. Mm-hmm.
Thanks,
Are you getting emotional right now?
No.
Aaron has tears in his eyes.
Oh, okay. All right. We're done. Oh, my favorite 3. Gosh, I've got to come up with 3. That's hard. No, I'm just kidding. There's too many. But obviously, like yours at the start, and I mean this in full sincerity and confidence, I think you are literally the most beautiful person ever.
Thank you.
And you always will be. I just think you're literally gorgeous. Looking at you right now, are you kidding me? Look at the little dimples and the mole. Are you kidding me?
Oh
so
my goodness.
Cute.
Courtney and Natalie are in the room right now, and they're probably like, this is awkward.
And your lips? I just want to kind of kiss you right now. You look
Aaron,
amazing. Anyways.
You're crossing a line.
Anyways, so that, I think you are, when I think of people who are quick to, I'll say it this way. I think you're extremely humble in a way that, even in your natural instinct is to be maybe stubborn in situations, you're really quick to retreat and to acknowledge where you could have been wrong and to say sorry. But you're also really quick to forgive me when I say sorry too. And that's one of my favorite things that I saw that within dating. It was like, we'd have some disagreements, and we'd have moments where it's like, no, I'm right, and you'd be like, you're right, but you would usually be the first one to be like, hey, maybe I was wrong here, and then that would invite me into a moment of that too. And that's one of my favorite things about you. And then also, I just think you're extremely funny, and I just enjoy being around you. Like, there's just something where humor and laughter is just medicine for your soul, and I know that I get that from you. And so in days where I just need some laughter and joy and just some goofiness from you, I get that. And that's one of my favorite things about you.
Oh,
I love you so much. And I could name 50 more. And I can't wait to be with you the rest of my life.
Oh, let's do this again sometime.
Let's do it again sometime. Let's film next week. Anyways, love you guys so much. I hope it was helpful. Send in more questions to the Waiting Instagram or to our personal Instagrams if you want. And we're going to get to more next week, but I hope it was helpful. If you'd like us to expand on certain ones we've done also in this episode, we can do that. But we love you guys so much. Thanks for taking the time to listen. My name's Aaron. This is Eleanor.
Thanks for having me today.
And we'll see you next time. Peace.